Hey there, I'm Brandon, and this is the Dirt Church Devotional. I had an interesting thought the other day. I was sitting there thinking, just my mind was wandering, and I got to thinking about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. You can find their story in Daniel. They're dispersed throughout there, but Daniel chapter 3 tells an interesting story about these three young men, where Nebuchadnezzar had built this huge idol and declared that when the music goes off, everybody's got to bow down and worship it. Well, these three young men said, no, we're not going to do it. So they were called on the carpet. They were brought to the king. The king said, look, I'm going to give you another chance. Music's going to go off. If you will bow down and worship, you'll spare your lives. But if not, I'm going to throw you in a fiery furnace. I'm going to burn you up. And these three young men made this statement to the king. They said, oh, yeah, and the king asked, he says, now, if I do that, what God can save you? These three young men turn to the king and they say, King, you need to know this. Our God can. But even if he doesn't, we're not going to bow down. All right? Their faith was completely in God. Come what may, they were going to win. That was their mentality. Come what may. Our God can, but even if he doesn't, we win. So, whatever. Music goes off. They don't bow down. Nebuchadnezzar gets ticked. He is so mad. He has this furnace lit up, heated up 7 times hotter than normal, and he has them cast into the furnace. Now, what's interesting is they're heading down there. He's got the biggest, baddest soldiers in his army taking them down. The heat from the flames kills those soldiers, but those three young men survive. They go into the furnace, and this is where it gets interesting. All right? They're in the furnace. Nebuchadnezzar's watching, waiting for them to be completely incinerated. And yet he sees something. He sees a fourth person. And he turns to the people around him and says, didn't I throw 3 in? Why do I see 4? And now the fourth one looks like the son of the gods. What's going on here? Get this. There's no evidence that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego ever saw the angel of the Lord, pre-incarnate Jesus, in the fire with them. There's no evidence they had any awareness that he was there. They were just walking around talking to each other, wondering, what are we going to do? We're not dying. These ropes are burned off, but what's in it for us? Nebuchadnezzar calls them out. 3 go in, 4 are standing there, 3 come out. Nebuchadnezzar and his guys are looking them over. They don't smell like smoke. Their hair isn't singed. Nothing's going on with them. They are fine. The only thing burned up was the bounds that he had put on them, things that were holding them hostage. The end result is that Nebuchadnezzar makes a declaration that you've got to serve the God of Israel. Here's my point. When we walk in faith and complete obedience to Jesus, when we say, you know what, come what may, I'm going to win, live or die, I'm with Jesus, I'm going to serve God, we win. There's no evidence, there's no proof that we're going to experience or see everything that God is doing in our lives. We might experience the supernatural, but not even be aware of God's presence at the time, because sometimes his presence, his visible presence, is more for the sake of those that are persecuting us, more for the sake of those that are opposed to us than it is for us. Nebuchadnezzar was persecuting those young men, but God was trying to reach that king, that wicked king. God let him see his proof, his presence there, even when those 3 young men didn't. So here's the challenge. You're going through life and you're experiencing difficulties. Don't get too upset if you don't see that fourth person in the fire. Understand, he's there, and his presence may be more for the sake of those watching than for you. Chew on that. Talk to you next time.